So today we're going to be taking a look at a story I ran into yesterday. I know said I was probably going to take a break for the holidays, but this one is just so ridiculous that I had to point it out. Massive genetic effort confirms bird songs are now related to human speech. So now we don't just have Lucy's and the monkeys and the apes. Now we're going to say that birds are almost human too, because they sing. And there's genes in there that are something like ours, so they got to be related too, right? And I can't help but every time I have a discussion here with the atheist, and I say, you're trying really hard, you're going out of your way to make yourself a chimpanzee. You're going way out of your way. And the response is always, well, humans aren't related to chimpanzees. They got common ancestors. Well, now we're related to birds through some kind of a common ancestor. Now, let's just take a look here at our tree. This is our tree of your evolutionary tree, and I took the liberty of filling in the question marks where all the branches come together. If we can see this, this is your evolutionary tree. Oh yeah, humans didn't come from chimps, but we got a common ancestor who has another common ancestor. And now they're saying that birds speak just like humans. Birds are up over here. So down here where the branches come together, we have Isis, right? Our oldest depiction of a birdman person. So somewhere back here in ancient history, we've got Isis. Or maybe this guy. That's according to this article that we're going to look at. A 4-year-long effort involving 100 researchers and 9 supercomputers. And this is what they get. This is what they get. Huh? Finches are related to people now? You gotta be kidding me. You got to be flipping kidding me. All right? I can't explain the extent of lies and misinformation and total crap that is put out there. And this is Scientific American, people. This isn't, Random Joe's site. This is Scientific American. The stuff that's put out that is total junk, total garbage, and held up as, it's absolute science. They wrote a peer-reviewed journal on it, so it's got to be science, right? It's got to be absolute fact. Now, we'll read through this a little bit and just, make a mental note of every time they're telling you something that they really don't know. So, 4-year-long effort involving 100 researchers around the world put the power of 9 supercomputers into analyzing the genomes of 48 species of birds. Okay, they published their results, and they got a complete picture of the bird family tree, which I'm sure they do with their genomes. But it also uncovered genetic signatures in song-learning bird brains that have surprising similarities to the genetics of speech in humans. Really? Okay. A finding that could help scientists study human speech. All right. The analysts suggest that modern birds arose in an impressive speciation event. Oh, an event, huh? A big bang of avian diversification. Every time that they do the genomes of these animals, you know what they find out? They find out that they all came from like a couple of birds or a couple of whatever animals. And then they had this big bang event where they call it punctuated evolution or something, where instead of a slow, gradual change over time, which we all call adaptation over here in the Christianity world, the evolutionists will call microevolution. But anytime they go back far enough, they have to have a macroevolution event, and they call it the Big Bang. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. You can talk about apes, you can talk about birds. It all comes back to Big Bang. Even people go back to Big Bang. Did you know that? Did you know that when they researched the human genome, you go back to mitochondrial Eve and then you have some kind of a Big Bang explosion where all the people come from? Huh. Corresponding, I might add, to the flood of Noah. Just like everything else on the planet has a Big Bang of diversification. It's called the global flood. Thank you very much. Moving on. In the 10 million years immediately following the extinction of dinosaurs. Now we got birds, the dinosaurs apparently went extinct and turned into birds. And somewhere in there, I guess the birds turned into people, right? This is what they're kind of getting at. This period is more recent than than posited in previous genetic analysis, but it lines up with the fossil record. Really? You mean this thing lines up with that? Okay. By delving deeper into the rich data set, research groups identified when birds lost their teeth. Really? Okay. Right. Investigated the relatively slow evolution of crocodiles. Now they're related to crocodiles too. So people are related to birds, crocodiles, chimpanzees, okay, and outlined similarities between birds and humans' vocal learning ability, among other findings. The vocal learning discoveries could have important implications for the study of human speech and its disorders, if the genes are similar. Now hold on. Up here you told me you figured it out. Up here you told me you confirmed it. You confirmed it. And now down here you're telling me that you don't know? Do you see what a bunch of liars these people are? Absolute filthy liars. Filthy liars. Completely bamboozling the public. And it's like, no wonder so many people believe in evolution. You're bold-faced liars. Scientific American, bold-faced lying. Absolutely ridiculous. This stuff just gets my goat so bad. This is why I had to do this video. Okay, vocal learning discoveries, important implications. If the genes are similar, yeah, Okay, brain studying, sure, to see what does what, good studies. But then saying that people are somehow related because we can talk or related to a bird? Huh. How do we know the birds didn't evolve from people? Huh? Why can't we just say that? A long time ago, we had ISIS back here, and then the people came out of ISIS, right, from ancient Egypt. Makes sense to me. See, we got up here, we got ISIS, the ancient depictions. Obviously the finches are descended from us, right? Right? Of course, you could say angels did it, but I don't know. We don't want to go into that. That sounds too biblical. We're going to have to go with ISIS, right? Right. Okay. So they're talking about what they're using, your zebra finches and whatnot. It says, among primates, Homo sapiens are the only species that can modify vocalization. Well, thank you very much. So why are we talking about songbirds? Shouldn't you be looking at chimpanzees and apes? Oh, it says down here that other primates don't communicate vocally, but explains that they use grunts and screeches and hoots, but they don't really, they just kind of make noise. They're not really communicating. So because the chimps don't, we got to find some animal that does to explain the fact that people talk. And they can't explain that through evolution. They can't explain that at all. How do people just all of a sudden figure out we're going to start talking to each other? I don't know. All right, so although an older, bigger chimp may have a deeper voice, we're still talking about chimps here. So the rest of the article talks about how they did it. They cut up the zebra chimp's brain, and they found that humans and birds share 55 genes. Oh, wow. They share 55 whole genes, huh? Fantastic. Another paper shows that 10% of the genome in a song-learning bird is dedicated to song. So out of all the genes in a bird, 10% of them apparently have something to do with their songs and their vocalizations. 10%. Well, I just, was curious as to how many genes a person had. So we're going to look up here, and we're on sciencemuseum.org UK. Another bunch of liars, bold-faced liars. Let's see. Before the completion of the Human Genome Project, many scientists were expecting to see 100,000, but we look down here. However, it turns out that we only have around 24,000. So we have 24,000 genes. Last I checked, I don't think 2,400 of them are going to be linked specifically to speech. But in any case, we got 24,000, and they're all happy when they find 55 that are the same between us and birds. Therefore, we got to be related, right? Totally. We got to be related. Absolute ridiculous. And, their whole brain is apparently comprised just for making songs. The similarity of gene networks for vocal learning between humans and birds is not completely surprising. Well, no. If you imagine whatever kind of research you want and imagine whatever you want out of the data, you're not surprised by anything at all. After all, vocal learning species, which is what? They just said nothing else can talk except humans. So what are we talking about here? Can trace their ancestry back to the same basal branches of the tree of life. Tree of life. We can all trace our ancestry back to the tree of life. Well, just forget about what's down here because we don't know what started life. But then there was protists that went up to we don't know and ended up as seaweed. Right? This thing down here goes to plants, it goes to people, and it goes up to insects and lizards. Right? Right? You guys believe that? You believe that life started in a puddle as this, and people are just as related to trees as we are to birds. This is what you evolutionists believe. Don't you feel stupid? Don't you just feel like idiots? You should feel like idiots because this is stupid, retarded stuff. I don't fathom how people can believe this stuff, right? You look at any of these trees, and any place there's little branches off, you do like I do, and you put the little question mark there, and look how complete your tree looks. It looks like everything was created as its own separate kind, and there are no connections between them. That's what it looks like to me. And according to all these genome projects they're doing where there's some kind of a Big Bang event for each one of these little animals, you know, your apes got a Big Bang event where you have their speciation. Your plants have somewhat of a Big Bang event, but not so much because most of that survived the flood. You got the extinction of the dinosaurs, your bird Big Bang event, and all this stuff. Science shows you is that the Bible is what happened. That's what science shows. The little picture. You put in your question marks. That's what it shows you. So we'll finish up this article here. White says even though the ability evolved independently, it was influenced by a similar initial deal from the genetic deck of cards. Now, what is this genetic deck of cards? According to evolution, you start off with a one-celled something somehow by miraculous naturalistic event of some sort that created life. And how many genes do you think are going to be in that one cell that, you know, crawled out of the primordial ooze? There isn't going to be hardly anything in there. But somehow that, through natural selection, you're selecting from nothing, really, in a one-celled organism. You're selecting from nothing, and you get everything. Down here, you got nothing. Up here, you got everything. And this happened by natural selection when you're selecting from nothing. You're getting 24,000 genes from how many genes down here? Now, I may be missing something here because it seems to me that if I have out of a deck of cards, we'll say that the human's a deck of cards, and I say I take the 2 of clubs down here. This is my first life form. How many 2 of clubs do I have to select before I get a full deck of cards up here at the human? How many? Can I just like take 7 trillion 2 of clubs and end up with a full deck of cards? That's what they're telling me here. So, well, let's see how much we got left here. All right. The broadly similar event of the Earth created the evolutionary pressures that shape vocal learners, just as multiple species came up with similar solutions to the problem of vision. Yeah, that's another problem. It's like, yeah, we just came up with it. They'll just gloss over it and be like, yeah, we just decided we needed eyes. So we evolved it. Yep. Species that evolved vocal learning abilities seem to have settled on common strategies. Look at this. It's like, do you see like the primordial cells and whatnot getting together in like a boardroom with like projector and the little pointer, and they're talking about their strategies for learning how to vocalize or something? I mean, they call this smart evolution or Lamarckism, where because the creature wants to do something, it evolves the ability to do it, which was thrown out like a year after the guy proposed it because it's stupid. Absolutely stupid. But you see it all the times in these lying, disingenuous, garbage articles that people pass off as science. And I tell you, you want to be all mad at the creationists for the stuff that they pull out. Holy crap, look at this stuff. Blessed by the scientific American God. these are supposed to be your standard here. You know, your Scientific American. This is your vetted information that gets into your magazines for science people out there. And this is what you got. Yeah, humans and birds. We evolved the ability to talk from each other somehow. Okay. So viewed from another angle, the convergence is striking. This, to my knowledge, is the first time learned behavior is shown to have so much similar molecular underpinnings. The discoveries open up a host of potential avenues for future exploration. Can non-vocal learners acquire some traits needed for vocal learning simply by tweaking some key genes? Almost certainly. Zebra finches have more to tell us about our own ability to babble, shout, and sing. You can go on and go believe that garbage if you want. This is nonsense. 4 years of work and 100 people. And this is what they come up with. You're a zebra finch now. Congratulations. Now, in doing this, I did go to this site. We're going to get onto a little bit more of a rant. As you can tell, I'm fired up because, I came into this, and it's just lie after lie after lie after lie. And, this is a science museum. So, there is a few more than a chimpanzee or a mouse, but nothing spectacular. So people, here it says, we're talking about the genes that I pulled up earlier. We have 24,000 genes. This is a few more than a chimpanzee or a mouse, but nothing spectacular. So people are nothing special. This is what this article is telling you, or this little presentation thing for kids that go to the museum. This is what they're telling your children. Even more surprisingly, scientists discovered that large parts of our genome is made up of DNA that doesn't code for genes. Junk DNA. So, yeah, you may have 24,000, which is a little more than a finch, but, it doesn't do anything. You liars. They know it does. I mean, we've been sequencing the human genome for a long time. They know that there's no such thing as junk DNA, even if they don't know what half of it does. For a long time, they didn't even figure out it was three-dimensional. That's why they thought it was junk DNA. And they go, oh, it's three-dimensional. Everything works perfectly. But here's what they'll tell you. They'll tell you that it's junk. Ridiculous. We go down here. What is our closest animal relatives? Let's look at another lie, because I already know where they're going with this one. What are our closest animal relatives? Our closest animal relatives are the great apes, chimpanzees, orangutans, and gorillas. About 90% of the DNA in your genes is exactly the same as chimpanzees. Bold-faced lie. Lie. They take one small, tiny part that looks similar to humans, and they match that tiny part of the gene code and say that we're 98% similar to a chimp. But if you look at the entire gene code, it's 70% people. 70%. All right? So don't tell me that I'm a chimp. I'm not a chimp. Nobody's a chimp. Well, the evolutionists, they want to be a chimp. If they want to be a chimp, they can be a chimp. But this 98% thing is a lie. Lie, 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 lie. Absolute garbage. Astounding. Absolutely astounding. The stuff that is put out there in the name of science, and nobody is going to go after this stuff. I actually created an account over here for Scientific American to see what some of the comments are, and no one comments on any of this stuff. It's like, really? You're going to let people get away with that, and you call yourself scientific? And you're going to say that birds are related to people, as we can see in my little chart, right? Right here, we got some guy that looks like that, sitting there where ISIS is, apparently. And some kind of a common, this is the common ancestor spot on the little graph. I mean, can we see how ridiculous this stuff is, people? Now, as I said, I wasn't going to really cover anything until probably after Christmas. But this one is in a special slap in the face that I just thought I had to deal with, where now, birds are related to people and chimps are, almost people. And I'll add on the chimp thing. They didn't like what they saw with the mitochondrial Eve on the X chromosome. So they looked at the Y chromosome And they can't tell really how old it is because it doesn't mutate nearly as much as the X chromosome does. So they figured that because the Y chromosome has really stayed the same since, well, Noah, because Noah and his 3 sons, they all had the same Y chromosome, right? Since it's been at least that long with the same Y, they figured that the Y should be the same in the ape. And, it doesn't turn out to be the case. As a matter of fact, they're completely dissimilar. So they really ain't got anywhere to go. So now we're jumping over to completely unrelated species, things that aren't even mammals, to say that we're related to them. Just to grasp at something. We got to have something. And they got to justify their research, people. And people always want to ask why, if we found something in science that didn't confirm evolution, why wouldn't they come out with it? Who do you think pays for this stuff? Huh? 100 researchers around the world, 9 supercomputers, analyzing the genomes and coming out with research papers. These people are paid by people. What if these researchers came out and said, oh yeah, well, there's absolutely nothing that supports evolution in our findings? Are these people going to have jobs anymore? No, they're not going to have jobs anymore. Who's going to keep paying them to study stuff? Ridiculousness. Absolute ridiculousness. I am proud of my graphic, though, so we'll bring that up. People. And my Birdman. So, with that, I think we're going to be done. Don't let people bamboozle you with XYZ genetic research, this and that. Because every genetic research study everywhere proves that humans are absolutely nothing like anything else. And moreover, other animals aren't anything like anything else either. What is it? Whales did not turn into cows, people. The genetic testing shows that didn't happen. The more and more and more genetic research that we do, the more and more it is proven that things do not evolve from one thing to another. Microbiology has proven evolution doesn't happen in a scientific sense. So just keep that in mind when you see these articles. Don't know what I'll be covering next. Maybe I will take my week off. But anyway, I'm going to be out.